Hello, everyone. If you have a teenager or a young adult who feels anxious or has a history of anxiety, stay tuned. This is for you. I'm here with a very special guest, Dr. Terry Nguyen, an experienced pediatrician who has worked with countless adolescents over 20 years. And we're discussing how adolescents can transform their anxiety into a superpower. And we're going to give practical tips of what can be done. Welcome, Dr. Nguyen.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Ashaye.
Awesome. So this is Connecting the Dots with Dr. Ashaye. I'm your host, Lola Ashaye. I'm a family doctor and owner of In Touch Primary Care in Sugar Land, Texas. And I am so excited that you're here. This is a good place to be if you desire to take charge of your health and do all you can to live a healthy lifestyle. Remember, you can always listen to this episode and all our other episodes on the In Touch Primary Care YouTube channel. Leave comments, subscribe, and share with someone that might need it. You never know, it could make a huge difference for them. So let's get into it. And Dr. Nguyen, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself personally and professionally?
Of course, I would love to. I am a primary care pediatrician working in Baltimore, and I've been doing this for over 20 years, but I have many different skills under my toolkit. I am also trained in integrative medicine, so I'm very happy we share a passion here about really whole person health. I think much of healing and wellness has everything to do with the person, and they have it in them. They have the seeds there, and we just need to help them as their clinicians, their physicians, help them grow that seed and to blossom. Right. So I especially see that in my children, teens, and young adults. So I love our alignment. How did I get into teens with teens with anxiety? It wasn't my plan, but I meet my patients where they are, and over 20 plus years of practice, more and more children and teens with anxiety, and they all don't need meds, right? There are many things that they can do or that they can be taught to do to help themselves. We don't always have to say, oh, anxiety, you'll need medication for it. No, 1 out of 3 adolescents as well as adults in America have anxiety, and it's been worsened by COVID. Of course, we all know it and we experience it in our practices and in the people around us. So lucky that I fell into this, and this is a very good time to help those in need because there is so much need. So I help adolescents with anxiety thrive. That's my goal.
Awesome. That's yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's get into a little bit more. What are common conditions you treat in your patient population, and how do you treat them?
I treat everything, from your head to your toes, from your brain to, from your brain to your extremities. I really run-of-the-mill ear infections, annual well visits. Common right now, we're getting inundated. I'm sure you are as I am with viral illnesses, and it's making the kids quite sick. So I'm a bit fearful of what the future holds this winter for us, right? When COVID and flu are in full swing. And I do a lot of the mental health stuff in my practice, actually. So I treat ADHD, treat anxiety, I treat depression. Now, I didn't train in those areas, but I have self-taught and learned and then pulled in my integrative part. That was the big part about integrative medicine for me, was I want to use the best of Western medicine and the best of complementary medicine, meaning mind, body, spirit, and diet and lifestyle. Okay. I'm not talking even supplements. I want you to get your nutrition and all the things and the micronutrients you need from what you're eating.
Right.
Physical movement. I mean, stop calling it exercise. Who wants to exercise? Even I don't, right? So my health trifecta is nutrition, physical movement, any form of movement that you like, and sleep. That's the
Mhm.
other thing that we tend to forget. So that is the basis of where I go with my patients is, nutrition, physical movement, and sleep. And
Right.
then from there, I feel like if you have that groundwork, you can work through almost any illness, right? And right, mental health, it's become it again, like I said, not something that I chose to be, but I went into it and I delved into it because my patients really needed it. And here in Maryland, we're having quite a shortage of therapists and pediatric adolescent psychiatrists. So my patients were waiting forever to get in with someone. So I said, okay, there's a need. Let me
Right.
fulfill it. And I don't do therapy, but I do a little kind of between therapy and medication management. So at least I get them started.
Right.
And I provide tools that they can use for themselves in the moment.
Right.
Right. And the more you hear it, oh, do this, try this, hear it from your therapist, you hear it from your pediatrician, you hear it from your psychiatrist. Eventually, on the seventh time, you get it.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yep, it takes a while, yes. No, but I love what you just talked about, the nutrition, physical movement, and sleep, because that's all I talk about too. That's lifestyle, that's,
Yes.
a lot of lifestyle medicine is about that. And it's such a huge part of health. If you get those parts right, you can prevent so many serious conditions, and it's pretty much the same thing. So I love that our listeners are hearing it from you too. So this is awesome. Awesome. So can you give 3 practical examples on how teenagers can use anxiety and make it into a superpower? Because that's what we're talking about, transforming anxiety into a superpower. So
Absolutely. It is a superpower because people who have anxiety are feeling every feeling and emotion intensely.
mm,
So you're a highly sensitive person. You are actually a great empath. You can feel for other people. Not everyone has that ability, right? So use that as something to your advantage and not to a disadvantage. Now, of course, you feel it so deeply that you draw it into yourself. That may not work out as well. But really, to be around other people and to understand how they're feeling and to empathize with them, that's not something that can be taught.
mhm,
It can be improved on if you lack in that ability, probably. But folks who have chronic stress with things and then that leads to anxiety, they just feel things very, very intensely. Now you can make it a negative, you're anxious, or you could say, I'm excited, right? It's the same physiologic response, but it's one has a little bit more of a negative connotation, and the other one has a bit of more of a positive connotation. So you get easily excited. Oh my gosh, it's not because you're easily anxious. You get excited about the situation. You're curious. You want to get into it. But sometimes that excitement is all over the place, right? So here's like an anxious teen. They're excitable. And you can capture that energy and do something really remarkable and be creative with it. But if there's too much of that energy, what happens is you're not very effective anymore. You're just, you're scrambled, you're all over the place, you're clenched, and maybe you get into that fight, flight, or freeze response and you are either very irritable, right? Or you're trying to flee from the situation, or you're frozen and you're
mhm.
immobilized, you're paralyzed by those sensations that you have. So we want to, how do we turn this around? This is very normal. This is what you will go through angst as an adolescent.
Mhm.
Except it's amplified because you have all these hormone spikes, right? That's the testosterone, the estrogen, and it is crazy. It is not equilibrated in a teen's system yet, right? So one minute is Jekyll, next minute is high,
Right.
1 minute you have a wonderful, you have a wonderful teen in front of you. The next you have like, oh my gosh, the creature from the dark. They don't want to be like that. They didn't mean for it to come out like that. But here it is. It can be mastered. These
Mhm.
thoughts and emotions that drive you into automatic mode, that gives you the fight or flight, fight, flight, or freeze response, that can be honed in. It's just like physical fitness, right?
Mhm.
You get more fit, your muscles are more buff if you exercise those muscles on a regular basis. We don't have very much emphasis on exercising our mental and emotional muscles. So I call it mental emotional fitness, right? You'll have these thoughts and emotions. They may falsely trigger an alarm for you that sets you into your anxious reaction, but you can shift that into your calmer mode, your sage mind, as I call it, and take in all the data and plan your reaction to it rather than just being automatically reactive.
Mhm.
Because that's where you're working from your primitive brain, which is your amygdala, and it's there for a very important reason. If you're in an emergency, right? You better act really quickly. Please don't
Right.
take in the data and then decide what you're going to do, right?
Right.
You will have been hit by that ambulance that is speeding down the road,
Right.
right? So
Right.
that's very appropriate. Or even more simple, your hand on a hot stove,
Right.
right? You know it's hot, you need to pull it away. But
Right.
here's the thing. People who are highly sensitive, right? Their hand has already been pulled away from the hot stove, but somehow their neural circuitry is still feeding them that they're still in danger. The hand is still on the hot stove. And that's where we get into a little bit of trouble because you have no imminent danger, except your body, though, is still processing it, the stimulus, as there is an imminent danger. And so you're in fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Mhm.
And that's okay for intermittent periods. But if that's how you lead your whole life, right? And some people we know do that, 1 out of 3 do that. It's a very
Exhausting.
um, clenched and limited and inhibited living situation for them.
Mhm.
And there are many teenagers and young adults who are living in this state of constant fear, panic, like everything has a bit of a judgmental, negative connotation to it. Am I good enough? Judging myself, judging others, judging the situation, catastrophizing things, making,
Mhm.
oh, it's never going to work. But wait a second, let's fact check that. Is that just a thought or an emotion or a feeling that you might have? Is it
Mhm.
true? Well, let's work our mental fitness muscles up, or our emotional fitness muscles up, so that the sage part of our brain, which they develop until they're about 26, the prefrontal cortex, executive function, decision making, you know, let's amplify that voice in their head and then minimize the voice that's the judgmental, the critic, the saboteurs that really don't move you forward and help you progress in growth, right? It's only when you can really take everything in and make um, well thought out decisions based on your real data that's in front of you that moves you forward. So practicing that mental emotional fitness, and what do you have to develop in order for that to happen? Self-awareness that you're even feeling it, and where are you feeling it in your body? Self-regulation. Okay, I have it. Do I have to react to it? Self-modulation. So yeah, okay, you going to modulate how you respond to it. And then self-compassion. The most important piece, right, is self-compassion. How would you react to a friend who just didn't make a team maybe, or didn't do as well on a test as they wanted? Would you say, you suck as an athlete? No. Would you say, oh my gosh, you're like an idiot? No, but that's exactly what we say to ourselves, right? Even as adults.
Mhm.
And then that's what the teens are saying to themselves. It's all or nothing, So if this was a fail, then everything in their life is bad. So we have to train up those muscles so that we can amplify the sage voice that says, oh, no, wait a second. This is the first time this has ever happened. Okay. The past history is actually I've been very successful at this. And
Mhm.
then you get out of that rush of the moment. So that's the goal here, is to train teens for building the mental fitness muscles and allowing them to fail, and knowing that that's the best way to learn, is to have some mistakes and fails, right? And this is a message for parents, really.
Mhm.
To love an adolescent is to listen to them, really key. Love is listening and then letting go. Let them make their own decisions. Let them live the consequence of their decisions,
Mhm.
and then they will learn infinitely more than if you say, don't do that because you're trying to protect them from your own lessons. You may share it with them, but nothing will hit home more than the mistake that they make, as long as, it's not causing um, un, in, uh, death
Right.
or bodily harm, right? Um, then that's the best way to.
Get into the upcoming masterclass, um, Master Your Anxiety, Unleash Your Superpower. And that's for teenagers. And can you tell me, I mean, we've heard so much good stuff already, but what can a teenager expect, or what can their parents expect?
So first, we have to have their buy-in, okay? Even if you as a parent are sold like, this is the person I want working with my young adult. No, no, no. Does your adolescent want to work with me? And is he, she, they, are they ready to work on themselves a little bit and try something new? Here's the thing. Try something new. What I am offering is a 6-week hands-on practical program. Learn it, act on it, and practice it. The community, the group, is what helps you, provides you motivation, and provides you with accountability. You can't come back next week and not have done some of the things that we had proposed that you do. But I don't want to think of it as homework. That's another word that teens really don't like, right? Homework. Oh no, this is fun. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna do things. We're going to learn quick in the moment techniques for you to, you know, acknowledge the fear, the worry, the anxiety, but then be able to move on to the next step. So you come out of this program confident, resilient, and ready to thrive, ready to meet any challenge that comes your way. Your attitude and your mindset changes, because you're like, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm so fearful of this new thing, you're like, oh my gosh, a growth opportunity. Or like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. You work up your curiosity about it rather than your fear when faced with a new situation. Okay. And everything is a new opportunity rather than, how could this harm me? How could this be like bad for me? Right? How might I fail at this? No. What can I do with this? How can I make it super great? That's what you're going to get at the end of the program.
Wow, that sounds awesome. That sounds really awesome. I think a lot of teens will be inspired by this, and that's, that's really helpful. So I'm gonna put all the information on how they can go ahead and sign up for that. You go ahead.
One last thing, program actually starts next Tuesday, October 11th, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it runs for 6 weeks. So it goes from October 11th through November 15th.
Okay.
So right before the holidays, and I'm going to put a plug in, this is actually, and I intentionally put this at this time. For older kids, they're mid-semester. For college students, they're also mid-semester. So there might be some angst build up, right? And then there's all the family holidays coming up with, if you are an anxious soul, adult or adolescent, you're like, okay, all these different personalities with the extended family, that gives me angst. So let's get you kind of boot camped, up and ready to go, instead of like, oh
Right.
my gosh, it's the holidays, it's Thanksgiving, then it's Christmas, then it's New Year's. And by the end of that, you're just
Yeah.
pooped and have no more energy, right?
Yeah.
So helping you academically, helping you socially, helping you find your own grounding in the time of year that often I see a real big uptick in about October every year of my patients with more mood issues, more sleep issues, and behavioral issues. And a lot of that has to do with that dysregulation, that they can't control their emotions and thoughts, and they turn those thoughts and emotions into facts about themselves. And
Mm,
they're so caught up. I call it the spiral, right? You get
mm,
a thought, and then somehow your brain transfers into a fact, and then now you're spinning, right? Oh my gosh, oh my, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this?
right.
They're going to be skilled enough to catch themselves before the spiral. That's really the important part, right?
Mhm.
And then so they can thrive on a daily basis rather than just, I made it through another day, I've survived.
Right.
That's not the where you want to be at this age.
Right. At any age, but especially at that age.
Right.
Yeah, awesome. So, is there anything else that you would want, any advice or anything else you want to leave us with today?
I think my one motto for parents of teens and young adults really is something I said prior, but I want to repeat it because I think it is so important. To love an adolescent is to listen, say less, just listen. They'll let you know when they want to hear from you, and then to let them go on their own,
Mhm.
meaning let them make their own decisions, let them make their own mistakes, give them the space to grow into who they want to be and not what you expect them to be, right? That's it. That's my bit of wisdom about parenting teens and young adults. And it comes from years of observation. And I've launched one child. We'll see. I mean, this is only his first year of college, but that's
Yeah.
the wisdom.
Yeah. I guess part of it probably is from the parents' uncertainty about how good of a job they did early on. I think letting go.
Yes.
Probably.
But remember, you did it. You really
Yes.
did. I mean, they've launched. They're ready to launch off from high school. They're going to college. At some point, you have to let go, right? And if
Absolutely.
they never have a failure or a mishap before they leave your house,
Mm-mm.
this means when they do have that mishap and they're on their own, they actually have no clue on how to fix it,
Right.
how to solve the issue, the problem.
Mhm.
So let those wrenches happen in the road while they're under your roof,
Absolutely.
have and be there in the background, to help them if they need, but just let them try to solve it first.
Right.
And they'll let you know when they need your help. And sometimes it's like, are you ever going to ask for my help? Because that doesn't seem like the right thing. And I'm biting my tongue. I'm waiting. But I will tell you, eventually that young person will come around and say, because I've heard it from my oldest child. He's like, "You were right, mom," and that's very rare. I think I've heard it twice. Yeah, but don't say I told you so.
Right.
Never, never, never. Just say, "Hey, what do you think of that? How was that for you?" Hmm.
Yep. Absolutely. No, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've learned a ton. And for our listeners, you can learn a ton more. So the information will be on the comments. But can you tell us how people can find you, website, social media handles, any way they can find you?
Absolutely. Really easy. Only two sources. My website is www.resilientmd.org. So it's resilientmd.org. My Instagram handle is Dr. Terry Nguyen, Dr. period TerryNguyen. Or I think my nickname is Dr. Terry Anxiety Antidote. How clever.
There we go.
And really, my Instagram, I do it really for my patients. Little short 30 to 60-second videos. I call it Dr. Terry on Demand. So some little bits of advice that I work with them on, about procrastination, health and well-being, how to fact check their thoughts and emotions. That's what I post to my Instagram. So it's for them. It's like a fun way of being reminded of what we've talked about in the office.
Yeah, I love that. Dr. Terry on demand. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, this has been great. Thank you for being here, Dr. Nguyen. It's been such a pleasure. And thank you for listening. Remember to share with someone who may need it. And if you are in the Houston area and you need a primary care doctor, you can check us out at In Touch Primary Care. Our website is intouchprimarycare.com. So that's all we have for today. And thank you for being here, Dr. Nguyen.
Thank you, Dr. Ashaye.
All right.
Wonderful time.
Yep. All right. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.